if you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, if you feel like that your thoughts have an impact on your reality, because every time I ask this question, the answer is usually yes. But here's the thing. If the answer is yes, I believe that, then the question becomes, did you take time today to consciously create your future? Did you take time to visualize yourself as a Chairman 10, to visualize yourself as a six-figure trader, to visualize yourself, whatever it is that your goal is? Because if you really, 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 really believed that, then you would never, ever, ever miss a day. There would never be a day that goes by without you seeing yourself as you want to become, as your goal. And so I want you guys to understand this. Here's how it works. Your personality, how you think, how you act, and how you feel creates your personal reality, the results within your life. And here's the thing. People want to change their personal reality. People want to change their results in their life, but they don't want to change who they are. They don't want to change how they're thinking, how they're acting, and how they're feeling, and it does not work. So if you want to change, we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 95% of them are the same from the day before, and 80% of them are negative. We think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 95% of them are the same from the day before. So we wake up, we think the same thoughts, we take the same actions, we're getting the same results, and we're secretly wishing for something to change in our life. So if we want things in our life to change, we got to change things in our life. If we want change, then we have change. Let me go ahead and make sure everyone's muted. 1 second, guys. Let me see. Mute. All right, cool. We're good to go. But yeah, if you want your life to change, if you want results to change, then obviously you and I have to change. So I just kind of broke this down earlier, but I'll say it one more time. You attract what you are, who you are, and whatever you think about most. Nothing in life is a coincidence. Everything happens to you for a reason. You are where you are today, 100% due to your past ways of thinking. Everything is energy, and all energy attracts its equal. Very simply put, the way that it works is like attracts like. If you have positive energy, you're going to attract positive people, positive places, positive things, positive experiences in your life. If you're typically negative, then you're going to attract negative people, negative things, negative emotions to reinforce that you are. And so another way of thinking about it is this. You get what you think about most of the time. So whatever you're thinking about most of the time, that's what it is that you're going to get. That's what it is that you're going to become. And every single successful person has been in unanimous agreement that you become what you think about. And they've disagreed on everything else, but they've all came to the agreement. People say, hey, I don't know if I believe in that. You don't have to believe in it. That's fine. Stay where it is that you are. But every successful person has been in unanimous agreement that you become whatever it is that you think about. Science, if you want to look at quantum physics, has scientifically proven the law of attraction. You can look at things like the observer effect. There have been many, many, many different studies that break down how scientifically the law of attraction actually works. I'm an amateur in the Bible, but one of my favorite verses is Mark 11:24. It says, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. So it doesn't matter if we're talking about the most successful people on the planet. It doesn't matter if we're talking about science. It doesn't matter if we're talking about theology. They all point the finger to possibility. They all say that whatever you think about most, that is what you are going to get. That is what you are going to become. Now, just as important, if not more important, is the law of vibration, which is the foundational law of the law of attraction. And it's simply put, everything is energy vibrating at a certain frequency, right? And so you take a look at, let's just use this drink, this desk, this laptop, myself. Everything is made up of energy vibrating at a certain frequency. You could take a look at this picture of an atom. You have the classical model of an atom, which is what you're taught in school. You have a nucleus and protons and electrons, and they're super big. That's not how it really works. And then there's the actual, what an atom actually is, which is 99.9999999% energy and 0.00001% matter. So you and I are mostly energy, right? 99.9999999%. And every person is vibrating at a certain frequency, which is going to determine what it is that you attract. And the word feeling, I feel bad, I feel good. Feeling is the conscious awareness of the vibration that you're in. And so however it is that you feel is going to determine what it is that you attract. Now, there's an audio called Your Wish Is Your Command, and it breaks down that your brain is a transmitter and receiver of frequency. And that's a quote from Einstein. Here's what he said. He said, similar to a cell phone. He said, similar to a cell phone tower, similar to a radio tower, similar to a satellite. If I FaceTime my dad right now, what happens is, boom, I get on his frequency, and then I could see him and he could see me on FaceTime, right? Why? Because we're on the same frequency. Guess what? Your brain is a transmitter and receiver of frequency that works in a very similar way. When you think of thought is energy. Thought waves are cosmic waves. What does that mean? What that means is it penetrates all time and space. It's the fastest and it is the most powerful. It passes through brick, steel, glass, concrete, mortar, everything, and it transmits virtually and affects physical matter. We talked about that a little bit already. It transmits 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People say, hey, now that I got this information, I'm going to start using the law of attraction. No, you've already been using it. Take a look at the results in your life right now, and you've already attracted everything into your life, bad or good. You just haven't been aware of it. Thoughts send out an electrical charge. Feelings are a magnetic charge. What does that mean? When you think a thought, you send it out into, well, let's just call it the universe. Send it out to the universe. Feelings are a magnetic charge. I mean, you draw the experience back to you. So people think that it's your thoughts that create your reality. People think that it's your feelings that creates your reality. And those are half true. It's your thoughts and feelings. How you're thinking and how you're feeling is what's called your state of being. The universe doesn't respond to how you're thinking. The universe doesn't respond to how you're feeling. The universe responds to who it is that you are being, how you're thinking and feeling at the same time. Now, this is very interesting. There is an electromagnetic field around your heart that is 100 times more powerful than the brain. I used to think that the law of attraction, the way that it works, is it only works with your mind. It only works with your brain. Again, that is half true. Just as important, if not more important, is the electromagnetic field around your heart, because it's 100 times more powerful than the brain. And so it's actually, you're using both your brain and your heart to actually change how you're thinking, how you're feeling, and ultimately change your reality. Now, look at this. One of my favorite quotes by Einstein, he said this. He said, everything is energy. That's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. And it can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is not theory. This is not what I think. This is physics. This is science. This is proven. That is what Einstein said. And in 1939, Simeon Kirlian created Kirlian photography, where he accidentally discovered the fact that you could actually photograph mass and capture the energy around a person, capture the aura around a person. And as people change their vibration, as people change their frequency, as people change how they were thinking and feeling, the color changed, the field expanded, and you could actually physically see that energy. Now, today we have something that's called a biowell, and you can do the same thing, except for it's a lot better. And you could see the fractures of energy. You could see someone's health, someone's well-being. You could see the frequency that someone's operating on, which is going to determine everything else in their life. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about wealth. It doesn't matter if we're talking about happiness. It doesn't matter if we're talking about health. As an example, in 2016, there was a study done in Tacoma, which is down the road from where I live. And there was 100 participants. And what they did was they measured the participants' energy before and after 4 days. And what they did was this. Here was the thought experiment. They said, if a person or an animal or whatever, when they become stressed, when the stress response is turned on, when the fight or flight response is turned on in someone's brain, when people are very, very, very stressed, it actually will compromise the immune system. It'll actually downregulate a certain gene, and it will actually cause disease. So if you think, but here's the thing, because of the size of the brain and the neocortex, you can think and turn the stress response on by thought alone. So if you could become stressed by thought alone, and that can make you sick, then your thoughts can make you sick. And so if your thoughts can make you sick, can your thoughts make you well? The answer is yes. That's what they found. So check this out. Here's what they found. They found that after 4 days, by practicing an elevated emotion of love, of gratitude, of a positive emotion, just 10 minutes a day, 3 times a day, just feeling grateful. There was over 1,200 positive chemicals in the body. And what it did is after 4 days, it increased immunoglobulin A by 49%, which is a protein marker. And it's the primary internal defense system of the human body. So it raised that, and it lowered cortisol, the stress hormones, by 16.25%. And so people literally became healthier by thought alone. So it doesn't matter what we're talking about, this stuff works. And that field around your body has been measured to be over 9 feet wide. And so if you take a look at this, you have apathy, grief, fear, anger. If you want to learn more about the levels of energy, there's a book called Levels of Energy by Frederick Dodson. There's another one called Power versus Force by David Hawkins. And they break down how these lower levels of energy, apathy, grief, fear, anger, all these emotions have a lower frequency, have a lower level of energy to it. And when you live there, when those are your emotional home, when that's where you live most of the time, you're going to attract more so negative things into your life. And then after above anger is courage and desire and purpose and love, and courage marks the tipping point between negative emotions and positive emotions, between, we'll just say, surviving and thriving, right? And so when you're operating in courage, desire, purpose, love, these higher levels of energy are going to attract a lot more positive things into your life. And so I just kind of said this, but just to give you another visual, you have survival emotions, and then you have creative emotions. You have surviving and you have thriving. Tony Robbins talks about, he calls it your state. He says you have a beautiful state, gratitude, love, joy, inspiration, peace. And then he said you have a lousy state, fear, anger, doubt, anxiety, insecurity. Check this out. This is crazy. Human beings, your average person, lives in survival 70% of the time. 70% of the time, we're projecting worst case scenarios in the future, or we're living in our past. 70% of the time. Only 30% of the time, your average person is living in creation, is living where they're actually thriving. And that is why they're attracting a lot of what I would say negative things into their life. And here's how it works. When I say you send a thought out to the universe, what I really mean is, what it's really called is the quantum field. And if you study science, what you're going to find is the quantum field is an invisible field beyond our senses. You can't hear it, see it, taste it, touch it, smell it, beyond our senses, that connects everything in the universe. And our thoughts and emotions are a form of energy that can interact with this field. And by tapping into this field and changing our energy and aligning our thoughts and feelings with our desired outcome, whatever it is that you want, we can manifest positive changes in our lives. And I'm telling you this not from theory. I'm telling you this from personal experience. You could take a look at these pictures. The picture on the left, you can see it's the very first note in my phone. This is February 24th, 2013. I've been doing this for a very long time. You could do this in business. You could do this in sports. You could do this in your head. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. It all works the same. This was my senior year of high school. I was playing varsity soccer, and I wrote this note. I said, one day from tryouts, I predict that we will go undefeated the whole year and take the 8th title this year. We had already won 7 state titles in our high school. And I said, we're going to take the 8th title this year, and we're not going to lose a single game. We didn't lose a single game that year. In the finals, I believe I scored a goal, got an assist. We won 3-0. It was an absolute blowout. So I've been practicing this stuff for a very, very, very long time. I've been writing down exactly what it is that I wanted, and then seeing myself as if it was already done. And you could do this with relationships. You could do this with, you could see in the middle, that's the very first picture of me and Leanne in 2015. And then obviously where it is that we are now. You can see this on the right. In 2018, I created a flyer, a congratulations to hitting Chairman 10 for myself. I was a P2000 at the time. But I got this picture and I emotionally involved myself with it. So I knew exactly what it is that I wanted. And from there, every time I saw this, embraced an elevated emotion of gratitude as if it is already done. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. When you say thank you, it's because somebody has given you something. And when you're grateful before the experience, then you're going to start attracting more positive things into your life. And then you have the flyer after we actually hit Chairman 10. I could think of the fact that I'm the most naturally introverted person on this call, and how I manifested, becoming someone who could actually speak, becoming somebody who could, speak in front of hundreds of people, thousands of people. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, this stuff works. And so the question becomes this: how do I raise my vibration so that I could attract what I want? Because this isn't about me, this is about you. How do I raise my vibration so I could attract what it is that I want? And I came up with this. I believe that there are 7 main ways. There are many, 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 many different ways. But for me, I think that there are 7 main ones that you can learn and you can apply very, very quickly. So let's jump into it real quick. By the way, I'm sorry I'm going fast. I have to go fast because there's a lot of information. I actually have 39 slides. So we're just getting started. Check this out. Number 1 is letting go. So people think that we need to have more, do more so that we can become more. But the truth is success is less about becoming and a lot of it is about unbecoming. What do I mean? What I mean is if we let go of negative emotions, if we let go of the past, if we're able to forgive and forget, automatically we're going to go from where we are to where it is that we should be. You see, there's normal in society. Most people are not happy, not healthy, not wealthy. And then there's natural, the way that you were born. There's the real you. When you were born in great health. You were born in this expansive ball of energy. You were born without any types of limiting beliefs. But what happens is when you're born, your subconscious mind is wide open and it does not have the ability to reject. It must accept. So whatever idea was planted in your little mind from the ages 0 to 7 years old became your reality, became who it is that you are. And a lot of people experience trauma. No, let me explain this. Let me rephrase what I'm saying. Everybody experiences trauma, some to a low degree, some to a higher degree. But trauma typically happens when you feel like your life is threatened. And here's the thing. When you're a kid, you have a very, very limited perspective. And so you might be at the grocery store and your parents might yell at you when you're a kid because you're being too loud. And so you take that part of you that's loud and you put it in the corner. You take that part of you that's loud and suppress it. And now you have an irrational fear of being loud because of something that's happened to you when you were a kid. And so we all have different degrees of trauma. And a lot of people use this as an excuse to not be able to get to where it is that they want to go. I would argue that for me, all the things that I've been through, the most negative things, the most terrible things, the most traumatic things allowed me to A, become who I am, but B, be able to help other people who are going through similar situations as me. I remember when I got involved in this business, and like I said, I was the most naturally introverted person that you would ever possibly think of. And I thought to myself, God, why me? Why did you make me super, super scared to talk to people and put me in a business where I have to talk to people? And that's the only way that I could A, make money, but B, help a lot of people. And then I overcame that, and now I could help other people overcome that, right? Now, let's talk about triggers. And so what happens is, triggered is when your response is disproportionate to reality. So like I said, you have that irrational fear of being loud, or maybe that irrational fear of talking in front of people, or that irrational fear of what other people think because of the trauma that you've had. And the main 3 things that we need to let go of is number 1, approval, number 2, control, number 3, insecurity. These are the big 3 things that we need to let go of. Approval, caring too much about what other people think. Right? Control. People try to control everything, and there are very few things that are in your control, but your mind will play tricks on you. It'll try to control, what does this person think about me? Control the situation, and literally you'll overthink your way into feeling terrible. And you have to let go of control. You have to surrender. You have to understand that there is something bigger and better than you that is here to help you, right? You have to basically, what I would say is I would call it trusting God, that you're at the right place at the right time and everything's going to work out for you. in your favor. And then number 3 is security, right? What happens is everybody wants this feeling of safety. Everybody wants this feeling of security. And I think that Jim Rohn breaks it down better than anybody else. He said, it's all risky. He said, getting married is risky. He said, going into business is risky. He said, having a baby is risky. It's all risky. He said, guess what? We're not going to get out of here alive. And when you understand that, then you can let go of this need for security, and you can go out there and live your life the way that you're supposed to live your life. So those are the 3 main things. Now, another word, one might argue that letting go is not the best word to describe what happens when you let go. And so another word is this, is accepting and embracing. Can you accept and embrace the negative things that you've gone through? Can you accept and embrace the negative things that you're going to go through in this business? Can you accept and embrace your shortcomings, your failures, your past? Accept and embrace. Number 2, the next thing is surrender, right? Can you, again, surrender to those, rather than overthinking? What you could do is, it's called surrender, which ironically has a negative connotation to the word surrender. It's like giving up, but surrender is really just trusting God, right? Forgiveness, forgiving other people, forgiving yourself for the mistakes that you've made, because I have made some terrible mistakes. I'm sure that there's some things that if you knew that I did, you'd look at me differently. I'm sure that there's other things that if you knew that I did, you would look at me way differently in a positive way. Same for you. Everybody, we're human beings. We're gonna make mistakes, right? So we have to what? Forgive ourselves. And we have to do what? Forgive other people, right? Not because that they can continue to do the things that they did that hurt you, but because forgiveness is ultimately for you. Forgiveness is another word for letting go, which is, if you look at the title, releasing the energetic charge behind a thought or a memory, and then it becomes wisdom. And so there's actually 3 steps to letting go. Number 1 is being aware of what you want to let go of. Number 2 is experiencing it fully, being present with the emotion. And then number 3 is letting it come up and letting it come out. There's a great book. It's called Letting Go by David Hawkins. Highly recommend it if you want to actually learn more about this specifically. But letting go allows you to be very, very present to the moment, which is actually number 2. Number 2 is being present to the moment. Now, most people are depressed because they're thinking about the past, or they're anxious because they're projecting a worst case scenario in the future. And what happens is you are siphoning energy out of the present moment, and you're wasting energy that could be used to create a new future. And so understand this, the past and the future don't exist. The past and the future are not real. What does that mean? The past was the present that has already happened, but it's gone, and there's absolutely nothing that you could do to change the past. The future, by the time that it comes, will be in the present. And so the future isn't real. The past isn't real. The only thing that's real, the only thing that exists is now. The present moment is the only thing that is real. Now, here's another interesting concept. You are not your thoughts and feelings. Most people have a thought and they have a feeling and they think that it's them, or they've been living by these emotions for so long that they think that it is you. But you are not your thoughts and feelings. You are the awareness behind your thoughts and your feelings. You're the observer of the thought and the feeling. And there's a term called metacognition. Metacognition is this. It's the awareness of one's thoughts, feelings, emotions. And what happens is when you become aware that when you become aware of a thought or a feeling, you actually create space between the thought and the feeling. And what happens is it weakens the energetic charge behind it, because you come to the realization that it is not you. So you are not your thoughts, you are not your feelings. So when I'm feeling very, very bad, most people don't even know that they're doing it. So what I do is I become aware of how I'm thinking, of how I'm feeling, and that creates a space from it. And then from there, I can make a decision on what I want to do the right way. Now, how do you get more present to the moment? There's meditation, there's mindfulness, there's open focus. Meditation allows you to be very, very present to the moment and grounded in your own energy. Mindfulness allows you to focus on the present moment to the exclusion of everything else. Open your focus. So there's the opposite of open focus is narrow focus. So when you're operating in those survival emotions and your fight or flight kicks in, you're very focused on matter. You're very focused on the thing that's causing you to think or feel a certain way, and you narrow your focus. Opening your focus is taking your attention off that person, is disinvesting your energy to whatever it is that you're focusing on and focusing on nothing. And when you're in the present moment, you become no one, you become no thing, and you're in no time. What does that mean? Here's what that means. You ever done something and then, let's just say, I could use the car ride as an example. You get in the car, you drive from point A to point B, and you have no idea how you got there, because when you're very, very present in the moment, you become no one. You forget about yourself. You become no thing. You're less matter and you're more energy, and you're in no time. You're in the present moment. And understand this, all possibilities exist in the quantum field, in the universe, in the present moment. Meaning you have to become very, very present to the moment first, and then you could choose the reality that you want to create. So here's how it works. If we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them are the same as the day before, and we wake up and we think the same thoughts and we take the same actions and we get the same results, what happens is you could literally take the familiar past and you could literally copy and paste it on tomorrow. You could take yesterday, copy and paste it on tomorrow. And the familiar past will soon become the predictable future, and you're going to get the same results over and over and over and over and over again. And you're siphoning energy out of the present moment. That's energy that could be used to create a new future. And so what happens is when you break free of those unconscious, when you become conscious of those unconscious thoughts, when you become aware of those thoughts that you were unaware that you were having, and you become present to the moment, you don't have your familiar past, you don't have a predictable future, you're living in the now, and that is where you could start to create. And so number three, the third thing I wanted to talk about is visualization. Once you're very, very, very present to the moment, one of my favorite things to talk about is visualization. Another word for it in the scientific community is mental rehearsal. And so every successful person that I've ever seen in business and sports and life, they talk about mental rehearsal. They talk about visualization. So you want to see yourself as whatever it is that your goal is. And this is important because you get the experience without the experience. What do I mean? What I mean is, when I was in college, when I was playing soccer, our coach would literally have us before the game sit down in the locker room and visualize ourselves scoring a goal. Visualize ourselves, if we were playing defense, making, blocking goals from goal, whatever it is that their job was. And you could see it over and over and over and over and over. And guess what? Your subconscious mind cannot differentiate fantasy from reality. So when you see yourself as whatever it is that you want to be over and over and over and over and over again, that is what you will become, because your subconscious mind, which controls everything, cannot differentiate fantasy from reality. And you literally get the experience without the actual experience. Now, don't get me wrong. Visualization is not going to it's not going to replace getting actual experience, but it's going to be the closest thing to it, and it is going to help you out clearly. If I want to, let's just use soccer since I'm talking about soccer. If I want to take a shot, right? If I take that same shot mentally in my head over and over and over and over 100 times from the same spot, by the time I actually shoot the ball, I am going to have a much better shot than if I just went up and shot the ball. Why? Because you're getting experience without the actual experience. Now, here's where it gets crazy. So your brain, my brain, is a record of the past. Meaning you wake up in the morning, and when you become conscious, most people start thinking about their problems. Most people start thinking about the past. Most people start thinking about, your brain is literally a record of the past, right? But when you start to visualize things, you start to install the circuits in your brain to look like the experience has already occurred. So when you have an experience, there are new synaptic connections in your brain that are happening. There's literally physical change in your brain. Now, when you visualize whatever it is that you want, it does the same thing. So you literally have physical change in your body, physical change in your brain to make it look like that the experience or the event has already happened. And so guess what? Your brain is no longer just a record of the past, but it becomes a map to the future. Visualization. Now, when you combine that with this, This is probably the most important slide, in my opinion, because nothing changes unless you change your energy. And when you combine, this is a quote from Dr. Joe Dispenza. He said, when you combine a clear intention, a thought, exactly what it is that you want, with an elevated emotion, gratitude, happiness, freedom, love, the present moment, whatever it is, you will collapse time and space, and the experience will be drawn to you. No longer do you have to go out there and get it, but it's going to be drawn to you. And so take a look at this visual. When you think a thought, like I said, it sends out a signal to the universe. When you feel an emotion, it draws it back. Reality moves towards to you. What did I say earlier? It's not what you're thinking. It's not what you're feeling. It's what you're thinking and feeling. It's your state of being. And so why do you think we say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a Chairman 10? I'm so happy and grateful. That's an elevated emotion. That I am the two most powerful words in the world. Whatever you say after I am is what you become. A Chairman 10, which is, you know exactly what your goal is. You have a thought and you have a feeling. And that is why we say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am blah, 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 blah. And we always tell people that you want to write it down. When you write something down, it creates new synaptic connections in your brain. When you write something down, you're able to memorize it 1,000,000 times better because you actually wrote it down. When you're typing something, it does a very limited connections in your brain. But when you write something down, it literally, I would say it ingrains it in your brain. That's a good way to think about it. And you want to write your goal down on a goal card, on a little note card, in the present tense as if it's already done. Because if you say, hey, I want to be a chairman, then you're always going to want to be, and you're never going to actually be whatever your goal is. And you write it on your goal card and you read it in the morning or throughout the day or at night. And I've been doing this since 2018. And the reason why I do this is because I heard Bob Proctor say that when you put your hand in your pocket and you touch your goal card, that it sends a light message, rifle firing through your central nervous system, strikes a group of cells in your brain that picture resonates with, and a picture of your goal flashes on the screen of the mind, and that picture must move into form. That's what Bob Proctor said. That's not what I said. That's what he said. And so I would say that there is a quote by Andrew Carnegie, who's the wealthiest person in the 1800s. And he had a famous quote, and it went something along the lines of this. He said, any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, will begin to clothe itself in the most convenient and physical form available. So if you could see it in your mind, and you hold the picture in your mind, it must move into form. If you could see it in your mind, you could hold it in your hand. Here's another way to think about it. Your thoughts and feelings are at the level of your current results right now. Your mind and your thoughts and your feelings are down here on this frequency. You take a look at your bank account, and that dictates how you think and how you feel. You take a look at your body, that dictates how you think and how you feel. And your goal's all the way up here. And your mind, your thoughts, and your feelings has to be on the same level, on the same frequency as your goal. What did Einstein say earlier? He said, match the frequency and it must become your reality, right? And so people say, hey, well, how can I think and how can I feel at that certain level? And Steve Jobs said this. He said, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to have trust. You have to have faith. You have to have belief that your goal is already done, that your goal is going to happen. And ultimately, you got to make a decision. You got to say, hey, this is where I'm going. I'm going to the top. I don't care what goes on around me. I don't care who says what. This is where I'm going. This is who I am. And this is how I'm going to think, how I'm going to act, how I'm going to feel. People say, hey, it takes years and years and years to change someone's life. No, it takes years and years and years for people to make a decision, a real decision. The word decision, very similar to, very similar to incision and all these other words, means that the decide or homicide or suicide, literally it all comes down to something must die, right? The word side means, I believe it means die, right? So when you decide, you cut out everything else falls off, everything dies. Everything else that isn't in alignment with your goal must die. That's a true decision. When I say I am going to do blah, 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 whatever your goal is, you must cut out everything and anything that isn't in alignment with where it is that you're going and who it is that you want to be. And so you want to, number 5, the 5th way to raise your vibration, you want to act as if you are whatever your goal is. You look at a professional actor. What do? They get the script, they read the script, they practice the script over and over and over and over until what? Until they become the script. And you need to think and act like the person that you want to become. And you have to be congruent. What's congruency? It's when your thoughts, your feelings, your actions are all in alignment with what it is that your goal is. And so here's the question. How does a chairman act? How does he walk? How does he talk? What does he do? What is his daily method of operation? People say, hey, if I was making 10 grand a month, I would do blah, 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 blah. No, if you would do blah, 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 you'd be making 10 grand a month. People say, hey, if I was making 7 figures, then I would believe. If you would believe, then you'd be making 7 figures. Most people have backwards thinking. Buckminster Fuller had a famous quote. He said, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So you get a picture of who it is that you're going to be, how that person acts, and you just need to literally become that, right? You need to act as if you are whatever it is until you become whatever it is. Now, number 6, the 6th way to raise your vibration is taking massive action. Drop a 777 if you guys are still with me. Drop a 777 if you guys are still with me this far. All right, be alive. Cool. I think that the biggest reason why people hate on the law of attraction is because people think that they could just sit and just manifest and not have to leave their house and that their goal is going to just come to you. Well, guess what? You also have to take massive action to close the gap from where you are to where it is that you want to go. And here's the thing. People say, hey, emotion triggers action. Meaning if I feel good, it's easy for me to do good. And that is true. But understand this, action actually triggers emotion. Action triggers positive emotion in your life. So for example, if I don't want to go to the gym and I go to the gym anyways, well, let me use the other example first. If I feel good, it's easier for me to go to the gym, right? But on the other hand, if I don't feel like going to the gym and I go to the gym, I'm actually going to feel better afterwards that I went. So when you take massive action, you're going to actually raise your vibration, and that's going to feel good as well. So yes, emotion triggers action, but understand action triggers emotion. And it's the days that you don't feel like it that you need to do it the most. And there's the word discipline. Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and follow it, right? No matter how you feel, because you're going to feel good some days, but at the same time, you're going to feel terrible some days. I'd be absolutely lying to your face if I told you that this was easy, if you're going to feel like it all the time. And it doesn't matter what business that it is or what you want to accomplish. If you want to make a lot of money, if you want to get in great shape, there's going to be many, many, many days where you don't feel like doing it. But guess what? Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and then follow it. And then guess what? It takes 21 days to create a habit and 90 days to change your lifestyle. So once you create those good habits, it becomes so easy to win that all you do is win. You ever see some people in your life where all they do is win and just win and win and win because they don't know how to do anything else? That's why. That's how they do it. Also, action creates momentum. Here's what tends to happen. What tends to happen is people put in a little work here, a little work there, and they never create momentum. But when you take massive action, right? What happens is it would probably be better. Yes, you want to be consistent, but honestly, there's a difference between me inviting, let's just say 100 people in 30 days, or me inviting 100 people in one day. If I invite 100 people in one day, I'm going to create a ton of momentum. Why? Because momentum equals mass times velocity. Momentum equals mass, the amount of people that you expose to the business times velocity, the speed in which you do it. And what happens is when you're doing something over and over and over and over and over again, what happens is you get into this momentum, you get into this flow state, you sharpen your axe, and you're able to actually get 10 times better results. And so when I say action, what types of action should you take? Here's the answer: using the products and services. It's very, very easy for me to share this platform with other people. Why? Because I'm saving a ton of money with TLX, because I'm using SMX to grow my social media, because I'm multiplying my money in the financial markets. And when people see me doing that, they're going to say, hey, Cruiser, how are you doing that? And I'm going to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. DMOs. Do you have daily methods of operation? Do you know exactly what you should be doing in the business every single day? I have a set of daily minimums. I'm not going to sleep unless I do this, this, and this. I am not going to sleep unless I do what I got to do in the business every single day. If I want to do more, amazing, but I have to hit my daily minimums. Income producing activities. There's productivity, there's busy work, there's making lists, there's personal development, there's things that are kind of important. You should spend 10% of your time doing that, but 90% of your time should be focused on income producing activities or setting up income producing activities. Show me your calendar, I'll show you your income. One of my favorite quotes. You can control your attitude and your work ethic, and that is it. There are 4 levels to mastery, guys. Check this out. Let me fix this. There are 4 levels to mastery. So there's unconscious incompetence. That's where you don't know what you don't know, or you don't know that you suck. Maybe you're going out there and you're inviting a lot of people and you're getting a lot of no's, and you don't even know why you're getting the no's. It's because you're unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. And then you become consciously incompetent. And then your mentor says, hey, you're doing it all wrong. And then you become aware, you become conscious of the mistakes that you were making. Now you're consciously incompetent. Now you know that you don't know, or you know that you suck, right? And then there's conscious competence, where you're now you're getting it. Now it's working. Now you're competent in what it is that you're doing, but it takes a ton of energy. But eventually, as you take massive, massive, massive action every single day, you become unconsciously competent. You get so good that you're doing it on autopilot. You get so good that you're doing it and it looks like you're not even trying. You're doing it with no effort and you're absolutely crushing it. You're doing better than 99% of people, and you're doing it with no effort. Why? Because you're unconsciously incompetent. And here's what happens. I like to use the example of driving a car. When you first start driving a car, you're unconsciously incompetent, so you don't even know that you're breaking the rules. You don't even know that you're supposed to put your signal on, or whatever the case is. And then you become consciously incompetent, where you have to think about everything, right? But you're at least aware of the things that you need to do. And then you become consciously competent, where you could drive good, but it takes so much energy and you still have to think about it. But eventually you become unconsciously competent, where I can drive from here across the country on autopilot without even having to think about it, while talking on the phone, while eating, while doing while driving with my niece. Now, I don't recommend that, but it's a possibility, right? So taking massive action raises your vibration. And last but not least is changing your environment. People say, hey, I'm a product of your environment. And that is true. But the truth is, especially as you get older, your environment is a product of you. You get to choose all these things. So you get to choose your physical environment. You get to choose, do I have my past all around me, or do I have my future? Do I have my goals all around me, right? Do I have negative people around me, or do I have positive people around me? Do I have negative information that I'm constantly pouring into myself, whether that be gossip or drama or TV or whatever it is? Or am I doing personal development? Am I studying success every single day? Am I giving myself positive experiences, or am I giving myself negative experiences? You become a product of your environment, yes, but if you start choosing your environment in the right way, your environment is a product of you, and you get to actually choose these things, which will help form yourself and your mindset and help you start raising your vibration so you could attract what it is that you want. And then this is just an added thing. I created something. Obviously we have DMOs, daily method of operation. A while ago thought to myself, I want to do DMRs. I want to have daily mindset routines. I don't want to hope that I am operating a high frequency. I want to do things where I can guarantee that I'm operating at a high frequency. So it could be making sure that you're sleeping correctly, or your diet's good, or you're taking enough breaks, or meditation, or gratitude, or visual, or going to the gym, or whatever. But you want to have a routine to where you're not guessing if I'm operating at a high frequency, you're putting yourself in that state because you have routine to actually do so. And when you do that, here's the last slide. Most people have the same thoughts that lead to the same choices, that lead to the same actions, that create the same experiences, and then they get the same feelings. And those feelings influence their thoughts, which they make the same choices, take the same actions. And it's just this insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But when you move to the right side, when you change the way that you're thinking, and you take new choices and you take new actions and you get new positive experiences and you get more positive emotions, which reinforce those positive thoughts. And then you do it again and again and again. You move from the old state of being to your new state of being. You move from the old self to the new self. And that is how you change your reality, guys.